As many of you know, I've been doing theater and performing since I was 8 years old, and now in the fall I will be attending NYU's Tisch School of the Arts as a theater major. I had a lot of requests from you guys asking about the audition process, and because I went through it twice, I went through it my senior year and I was waitlisted the first time, and the second time around I got in. I thought that I would share with you the audition experience. I was an applicant for just theater, not musical theater. This also goes for other programs, and the way that I prepared helped me get into the 2 other BFAs that I auditioned for. Going into the audition, I just found material that I really liked. I think the first time I went in, I found monologues that I didn't truly connect with. That's my #1 item of advice, is finding material that you love and gravitate towards. I auditioned with a piece from a show that I was in, just a different character. Because I fully understood the circumstances of the character in the play, it helped me more because I actually lived through the process with my castmates during that time. What I did the first time around was I was just looking up anything and everything that I could find, and anything that was both one comedic and one dramatic. And I think that is not a good way to go. Finding just contrasting characters or contrasting individuals, that was what I did the second time around, instead of finding this really dramatic monologue that was way out of what I could do at that time. Choose material that you like, the plays that you really loved watching or reading, and then do those works. In terms of what to wear, I really found that I just wore whatever I was most comfortable in and confident in. And I found the first time that I went and I wore something that was a bit more traditional in that sense, and I didn't feel as comfortable in what I was wearing, and I think that that definitely showed. I just looked uncomfortable, felt uncomfortable. I had one outfit for every single one of my auditions that I wore to every single one that I had for my transfer applications, because I knew what I looked good in, I knew what I felt good in, and I knew that I also had mobility in what I was wearing. So I actually have my journal entry from my first audition. Went pretty well. I think it went well, but I'm not going to get my hopes up. The evaluator was super nice, and I forgot my monologue for 10 seconds, but it's all right. It was an intended dramatic pause, wink. Second time around, I just did prepare more, and because, again, NYU is the last audition that I had after numerous auditions throughout the spring, just making sure it's literally in your bones. The night before my audition, Jackson, my best friend, who also is in theater with me, was with me that night, and he was really helpful in terms of practicing the monologues standing up, moving around, plieing like on the wall, and that helped me immensely in terms of remembering it. And Jackson actually slept over, and he was like, yeah, you were literally reciting your monologue in your sleep. That's how ingrained it was. Like, I was asleep and I guess he was awake, and he heard me saying the words of the monologue while I was sleeping, talking in my sleep. And if that doesn't mean memorization, I don't know what does. So the first time that I auditioned, I was at Tisch School of the Arts, which I assume that a lot of you will be at. We went to the school and we got there, and we had the info session before, and then we were all organized based on what we were auditioning for, either the musical theater kids or just theater. And then we were taken upstairs into a black box and lined up in terms of order, and I was the first person in my group to go the first time. Once we were lined up, I literally had maybe 5 minutes. We went into the room, did a little physical warm-up, moving around the room, jumping around, vocal warm-ups, and then we left. I had to go grab my headshot and resume, and I went back in, did the audition, interview, and then left. For transfer students, we auditioned at Pearl Studios, which is a Broadway rehearsal space in Midtown. There was way less people just because it was a transfer pool. I was the 3rd person to go at my transfer audition. The same kind of thing happened. We got up, went into the room, did a warm-up, came back out, and the first person and the second person went, and then I got to go in and audition. And I think, like, if you do have downtime, being in theater, there is an intense environment in terms of when you're around other students, other young women like I typically am, and around the people that are also competing for the same job or same spot in a class or whatever it is. The first time I didn't really get to do this because I was the first to go and then I just left, but there were other musical theater kids. They were going in for singing while I was going in for acting, and so they were talking about seeing Waitress or something like that, and we all just started talking about, oh, did you see XYZ on Broadway.com or whatever it was, and being really open about where you're coming from and like talking with them, and it made the competition, even though I wasn't in musical theater, it just felt like the kids around me, they definitely felt more human and like we're all in the same boat, we're all just trying to transfer, we're all just trying to get an education, and realizing that it is not life or death. Being kind and talking to people if they talk to you, I found that having their energy and that positive, nervous, fun energy around me right before I went in allowed me to just take a deep breath and recognize where I was. I'm gonna give them everything I have, and if they don't want what I have, that's okay, because I also have 2 other places that are willing to take me under their wing. This is the folder that I brought to all of my auditions. It is packed with my headshots, resume, all of the notes that I took on my material, and also what I did, which was extremely helpful, was create a packet in terms of what questions I knew they were going to ask me because of the first time that I auditioned, especially for NYU, was knowing what studios you were interested in. I had 3 that I was prepared to talk about because I liked all 3 the most, and ensuring that I knew a lot about each individual studio program, any of which I could be placed in, was very helpful in terms of creating a conversation with my evaluator about what I was interested in learning and how I learn. And obviously they make that decision for you. Not always do they match up what you ask for to what you will end up studying, but they always, at the end of the day, know from your answers. If you go in and you're prepared and you did your research on the school, the program, what studios you want, what professors are in each one, or what kind of methods are taught in each one. The evaluator, after I listed off the 2 that I said that I wanted, said, wow, you really did your research. And I was like, well, yes, of course. They always ask you what your favorite book is, what your favorite hobbies are, music. All of those they ask you about because they want to get to know you. Who are you as an individual and how will you contribute to the student body? One of my favorite new things that I'm doing is a lot of scrapbooking. And I talked about that and I was super passionate about it. And it was just a moment where I could really just be talking about my favorite things outside of theater too. It just goes to show that you're not gonna keep your head down and just be in theater. They want you to become a well-rounded individual who's engaged in a lot of different things. And that is not just for NYU. That goes for a lot of schools that have an interview or an audition or both. He also asked me what my future goals were and what I hope to accomplish. 10 years down the line, where do you see yourself with this degree? In the moment, I had not prepped for that question. Didn't even realize, like, wow, 10 years. So I would be 28, 29, and where would I want to be? And I really took a minute to think about it. Of course, I already kind of knew, but I really wanted to give an answer that was really what I wanted and not what they wanted to hear. I think a lot of people want to say Broadway's the end goal, or winning an award, or directing a huge blockbuster film. For me, I really had to think about what did I want out of my life and my career within the first 10 years. I wouldn't even be 30 in 10 years, and that's just the beginning of your career. There are so many answers to that question that only you can answer. Maybe you want to travel and perform. Maybe you want to live abroad and start a theater company. Maybe you want to start a nonprofit, or work at a nonprofit, or work for the American Theater Wing, or the Broadway League, or the Tony Awards, or whatever. Maybe you want to produce, direct, write, as well as perform. Maybe you want to start your own theater company. Whatever it is. And just being open to the possibility that you can do so much with a degree in theater. There is so much opportunity for performance and creating and experiments in drama and theater, and ways to utilize your degree to its fullest potential. I think what allowed me to also do that was just going through a year of college and recognizing what I really wanted out of my education and what I missed out on my freshman year that I never even knew that I wanted. And I think that's also difficult for seniors in high school to know because college has never been experienced before. But I think even in high school, what was I missing in high school that I wish that I had? Was it larger access to more resources? Was it more faculty? Was it more coaching? Was it more performance opportunities? All of those things are questions that you can answer for yourself. What do you want out of your next 4 years that can make your high school experience different from your college experience, and hopefully college is better. Hopefully I did a good job of explaining everything you want to know. If you do have any additional questions that I may have missed or any specific questions, just leave them down below or ask me on Instagram. And with that, I'm off. So happy auditioning to all of you. Hope all of your auditions go well. And that's it.